Howdy, folks, and welcome back to Dead Pit. I am the Creepy Kentucky. I have a special guest here for a very special video. We are both pretty huge fans of this movie, and Dirk and I have been talking about doing this video for a while. Dirk from Subjective Perspective Collective is joining me on here, man. How are you doing this evening?
Oh, pretty damn good, man. How you doing?
I am good, and I'm always excited to talk about movies that we don't discuss very often.
Yeah.
Especially because nobody knows what these movies are typically. I mean, I think there's more in 2024 that know about this movie than probably 10 or 15 years ago. But there's still, it's never hardly referenced, right? And I have always had a soft spot for this movie since I was a young kid. So we're going to kind of do a retrospective on the movie The Forest from 1982, directed by Don Jones.
Welcome to the forest. Do you know how many people go into these woods every year and never come out alive? Steve, Sharon, Charlie, Teddy thought they'd planned the perfect weekend outing. Far away from the city, the crowds, and the traffic. But this time, maybe they've gone too far.
No!
Into the forest.
You know, over the years, there's been some people that ain't come back from it.
When you go into these woods, you better be ready. You'll need your backpack, your tent, and your knife. And if you don't have one, somebody else will.
Daddy's going hunting.
Ask yourself, what on earth could possibly spoil the fun of a weekend in the woods? And what on earth can save you from it? Watch out for the rocks. Watch out for the rapids. And stay on the trail.
I think we're lost.
And whatever you do, don't go in alone. Because what begins as an evening under the stars is about to turn into a nightmare in the forest. They're being watched. They're being followed. And suddenly they know they're being hunted.
We never even found your body.
You're invited to take an excursion into total terror. You'll run for your life. You'll cry out for help. But no one will come to save you from the horror of the forest. You're just dying to get away. Come, spend your next vacation in the forest. From Comedia Pictures, a wide world of entertainment release, rated R.
Daddy just got another one.
Talk about the movie, do like a pseudo review.
Yeah.
And talk about some stuff that we may have obtained. Like I know that I've got some autographs, some stuff that doing the Horrorgraphs thing years and years ago. Most of the people from this movie have passed away, unfortunately, at this point. We'll talk about that. There is a few bits of merchandise that is available to pick up. Not a lot. I want to ask you, though, about the movie. When was the first time you remember checking this movie out, and under what format, what was the circumstances or whatever?
Okay, so when I first seen The Forest, man, we didn't even own a VHS. We didn't own a VCR yet, and my mother was good friends. I think the girl's name was Melinda, and she was a horror freak. And so we went and rented a VCR. Back, you could rent VCRs back then.
Right.
And we rented stacks of horror flicks for the weekend. And that's what really, this was one of them, though. The Forest. I remember The Boogeyman was in that stack as well. There's another film. To this day, I still don't know what the hell it is. It's like in a garage where damn shit's coming at people. Kind of like Poltergeist, but way shittier. I don't know what that is, but The Forest, man.
That doesn't ring a bell with me, yeah.
Yeah, it's like in a garage, and there's like chainsaw and like tools coming at, but it's like an invisible something attack. But anyway, I still can't.
Yeah, if there's anybody out there that's checking this video out, though, let us know. If that rings a bell, let us know. Throw the name of the movie in the comments.
Yeah, because if I watch that again, I'd have huge nostalgia kick, But man, the forest, I just remember it's really the opening scene that scared me. And I, and she lived back in the forest too, like in the woods,
Well, that's like here, man. I mean,
Right.
we're in the Appalachian wilderness
Right.
here in Eastern Kentucky. So I think the thing for me too about this movie, like this was one that I was probably 9 or 10 years old when I first saw this movie.
Yeah, I was young, man. I think probably 6, 7, something like that, somewhere around there. Not really sure exactly, but
from what I had heard, this movie was very low budget, like $40,000 is the amount that I had heard. That Don Jones, I think he put a second mortgage in his house.
Yeah,
and ended up.
That's a stand-up dude too, because when he got the money back, he paid everybody before he got his house back.
I think he had said in an interview that he actually ended up losing his house.
Yeah, he lost his house.
So he was paying everybody back before he even paid himself.
Right. That's awesome. That's a good dude.
Yeah, he was a great guy. There's an interview that we did with him probably 14, 15 years ago that I highly recommend people go and check out. Just a really cool guy. And we may eventually, I was talking to Dirk about this before we started the video, we may talk about some more of Don Jones movies, because I think some of these are kind of hidden gems. And even maybe go for some of the Don Jones films that we haven't seen yet, which I think would be fun too. But yeah, The Forest, I think Don Jones himself said that he didn't see this as a slasher movie.
Right.
But it was damn sure marketed as a slasher movie. And it had some slashing in it. It's not a big body count for the movie.
No.
But
3 people, I think. 4.
If that, yeah, 3 or 4 people. And most of those deaths are in like flashbacks too.
Right.
Which is fun. We'll get to the flashback scene. Great stuff. Now, I'm not going to say that this is a classic movie. I just think that it needs a little bit more respect out there.
I think so too, man. There's nothing else like it. I don't think there is.
That's what I said. Like Dana is always like going on about, she can't ever get through it because she falls asleep. Well, what are you watching, Dana? Are you taking Benadryl or something before you watch? Like, the movie starts off instantly.
Yeah.
In the woods.
Yep.
Wilderness slasher style. There's some great shots.
It really is.
In these scenes too, because the two, it's basically 2 generic hikers that are getting killed in the opening scene of
in the
forest.
Sequoia forest, man. And the you can't ask for a better setting. Like, you know what I mean? With those rocks and everything, man. Those big old ass redwood trees.
Yeah, the location I think was very important
for
this movie, and it gave it that feel, because you could tell it wasn't a set. It was an on location.
Yep.
And all you see in the opening scene is these hikers. They're wandering around the woods, and of course get gutted by this. You just see the knife.
Yeah, you see somebody run past one time though, right? With the woman, she's like, "Oh, that was somebody." Somebody.
Yeah, what was that? What was that, Dan, or whatever the hell his name was?
Her husband's like, "Oh, it's nothing. You're just tripping or whatever."
And some of the cool shots that they did, though, they had like the bloody hunting knife.
Yeah.
And reflections of the bloody hunting knife on the face.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, like that was really cool. I think they had some great ideas for some different shots in this movie as well. Talk about the main cast. We're introduced, I guess, to the main cast of the movie after the opening scene. These are 4 city folk.
Yep. Yeah, tenderfoots, what I'd call them. Trying to go to the forest.
These fucking Yankees, if you will, would want to go on vacation, going hiking and shit. That's the only people that do it. People that live in the air, in the terrain and shit, think that everybody that is hiking is fucking, they ain't got a lick of sense.
Right.
So, anyway, main cast: Steve, Sharon, Charlie, and Teddy. and it's Teddy with an I because she's a female.
Yeah, no.
Good looking girl too.
Oh yeah, they had to change their names too, right, for the film because of the Screenwriters Guild.
I think so. Yeah, because
so
Sharon.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sharon was Gary Kent's the lady that played Sharon was Gary Kent's wife.
Right.
Tommy Barrett. Yeah, she played. Or she was credited as Elaine Warner. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. Yep. And he was Michael Brody or some shit that I found out from him. He chose that name because he back in high school, he wanted to be this big star football player, and the guy's name was Michael Brody. So that's why he got to choose the name or whatever.
So they're having dinner together at one of their houses. I can't remember who. And they plan this camping trip, the four of them, these four friends, two married couples.
Right.
And arguments kind of arise. The girls, the guys think that the girls can't make it out.
The man versus woman, women versus men type shit.
Right. So they're like, well, yes, we can. We're going to go, and you guys can catch up with us later or whatever.
Yeah. Anything you can do, I can do better.
Yeah, we'll show you. We'll leave a day early or whatever, and then you guys can come later on, and we don't need you all. So the guys are kind of like going along with it, but the plan is to immediately leave and catch up with them because they know that they won't be able to make it in the woods by themselves. And of course, the guy's shitty little Mazda truck breaks down on the way down there, and they end up delayed for a few hours. And, we kind of go from there. The girls are separated from the guys in this forest. And there is a deranged madman, the one with the knife we were talking about earlier, who is on the loose.
He got his hat on like this. Do you remember back in the day?
Yes.
Everybody used to wear their hats like this.
And all the hats back then, too, look like they've been through, like, piles and piles of cow shit or something. Like, they're nasty as fuck. Like, you didn't keep your hats clean back in the day.
No.
That was one of the big things, man, that draw me into this movie. And I don't know if you can see it here. I might try to superimpose a photo. But the back cover with Gary Kent, the killer, holding the knife, and he's got the hat on and stuff. He's just a regular dude. Like, he looks like like a truck driver or something. Right.
He looks like one of my uncles or some shit.
He's not a monster, like an unbelievable, like, beast or something like that, which I think as a kid, it was more believable for me because this was just some crazy hermit in the woods.
Yep.
That, there's so much more to this too. So Gary Kent is the killer, John, who has these two kids as well.
Right.
And we quickly find out that they're ghost kids.
Yeah. So when they talk, it's like this echo shit going on all the time.
Right. And you can't hardly understand them most of the time.
Right.
The echo thing or whatever they were using, like they needed to turn that down a little bit because seriously, like, you have to like listen very carefully. So not only that, but you also have the ghost mother that makes an appearance.
Oh man,
in the movie,
I think she does a great job.
Yeah,
I really do, man. I don't understand the hate for this film at all. Like,
definitely a unique look, and the scene where the flashback scene with her demise, that was always very like almost traumatizing for me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Now, anyway. The ghost children let their daddy know that there is two young girls.
It's like they're playing both sides of the fence, right?
Right. That made no sense. So there are some questionable things throughout this movie, and we'll talk about it too. But, he kind of is like, there's two young. So the little girl's British, and she can't hide her accent, by the way.
Yeah.
And I really noticed. He's like, yeah, there's two little girls by the river down there, Dad.
Right.
He ends up getting Teddy, and Elaine or Sharon gets away. And Teddy is like pleading with him or whatever,
man.
like, leave me alone.
Yeah, it's great.
And
it's fucking great.
do you have the line?
He's like, no, I don't want to die. He's like, I don't want you to die, but I'm hungry. I haven't eaten days.
That's it. And that was one scene that I kind of marked out as, even as a kid, I was like, this is kind of goofy, but it's fun.
Right. It's like a sympathetic killer, like he don't want to kill, but he's hungry as hell.
At the same time, though, there is some brutal stabs to her head.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't show it up close because there wasn't a huge budget for makeup effects for this movie. I mean, it's a $40,000 movie.
Right.
But the way that they shot it and just brutal headshots with that knife, it looked like.
Yeah, it leads to the imagination. And then you see the aftermath of you see the gore after. So
he slits her throat ultimately, I think, to do her in.
Yeah.
So there's also another aspect to this. Okay, so you got the crazy hermit slasher guy,
cannibalistic madman,
and the ghost children, the ghost mother, and everything. But he also, like you were saying, he eats his victims. He's hungry.
Right.
He's a cannibal. Has there been another movie that is a slasher with the supernatural element with cannibalism?
I don't think so, man. I really don't.
The scene that always gets to me in this, and this is the one where I was like, as a kid, I was like, this is fucked up. Even when I was a little kid.
Oh, yeah.
Was where the husbands catch up. They're almost at the same location as the girls.
Right.
And it starts to rain or whatever. And then they decide to go. They found this cave. And it just happens to be the Hermit John's cave that they're going in.
Right.
And what do you know? He is cooking a roast on the, I guess it's what it is, a roast beef.
It's a roast, definitely. Yeah. It looks good. And they're asking him, like, what kind of meat is that? And he's like, oh, it's just a dough.
Yeah,
he's eating dough. He's got grease and shit on his fingers, and he's like,
yeah,
kind of old or something.
Again, okay, so that was real too. Like, I mean, it wasn't a real human, but it was a real roast.
Yeah,
they were really eating it. That was what they were feeding the crew with that night.
Yep.
So there was no makeup or anything. This was fucking like grease and shit from whatever it was, like the rump roast or whatever it was. And again, it added to the realism of it. But the scene that I'm talking about is he asks, oh, are you guys hungry? You want to take you a knife there and get you a piece of meat and enjoy it.
You notice how he asks them if they have a knife. So I always felt like he's trying to get information, to see if they got it, if they're armed, because he's plotting, definitely plotting on his next meal.
Oh, yeah. And then I think it was Charlie is Teddy's husband.
Yeah. Charlie.
And he's the one that's like hungry. He's like, I want to get a piece if you don't mind, if you think it's okay. And John's like, go ahead, get you a bite there, right?
Yeah.
And he immediately okay, and this is his wife. This is what this is, if you're not catching along. This is the, human meat that is roasting on here in the story. So he unintentionally is eating his own wife.
Right.
And there's a scene where he takes a bite and starts chewing it, and he's questioning it a little bit, and he's like, oh, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And then a couple of minutes later, he gets this cold chill.
Yeah, just recoils, yeah.
And I always liked that. I was like, damn, man, that is fucked up.
That is, man. Let me serve you some of your wife here, buddy.
Yeah. And that's another aspect of the forest that I've never seen that done since, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like from that point on, it's kind of a stalk and chase and slash movie. You do hear, I think in that same scene, they tell the backstory of John, and
Oh yeah.
his wife was basically a hua.
And see, I always thought when I seen it back in the day, I thought he was like a doctor because he's got that white long jacket on.
Right.
But Don Jones said he was supposed to be a butcher. He meant to smear blood on it, but they forgot to do it.
Could have been a pharmacist or a doctor or something, but
right.
Anyway,
Yeah,
that would have been cool. Like they should have given him an apron and put blood and shit on it. But
yeah. Missed opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things they probably could have done that would have improved the experience a little bit. So, like, he stumbles across his wife fucking a repairman, like a refrigerator repairman. I think.
Man, yeah, and it's just like you want to jump in the damn screen and choke that mother, you know?
Yeah, she's like a total bitch.
Yeah,
to him, right?
She's just like, don't give a shit,
and
laughing, pretty much, you know.
He kind of snaps, like the repairman goes to just fix the refrigerator, which is hilarious.
Which I don't get, but it's funny.
It's like, I'm just going to go fix the refrigerator. You all have a talk. Yeah. And he proceeds to attack his wife and bust her head on the side of the dresser and everything.
That's pretty brutal, too.
It is. Yeah, that was another thing. Like, the ghost of her has like a big crack in her head. Yeah. And yeah, that was always kind of memorable too. Yeah. And then the funny thing is, it's almost like the Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I don't know if that's what they were going for there, but this repairman kept getting away.
Right. And he's got another tool, like he's got the saw and one point.
Yeah. He has different devices and just can't finish the job. It takes him forever, but he finally gets it done. And then I guess that's kind of how he got into the forest, like in hiding or whatever.
Right.
And the kids were still alive at this point, the two annoying little kids.
I don't understand why the kids killed themselves. Were they just bored out there?
They were so sad because they were so lonely in the woods.
Yeah.
Right. And so the story is once they killed themselves, their dad completely went off the deep end.
Right.
That's what they're saying.
And the mother was abusive too, though. So
right.
This is a theme you see in other of Don Jones' movies, you know. So,
yeah, and they're actually defending their dad compared to their mother. They say that their mother was really mean.
Hell yeah.
Which is interesting.
They had him locked in the closet while she's getting it on with the repairman.
Right, but the dad fucking kills people and shit.
Yeah. Right.
So, they know who's the killer by this point towards the end of the movie. And the guy that plays Steve is trying to get help or whatever, and then that's when he breaks his leg, they say, in the water or something, right?
Yeah.
And then he's like stumbling around the rest of the movie, and they make the piss poor decision to show the leg break. Did you notice this? Oh my God. I was like, what the fuck? They literally, for the leg break, took a chicken leg bone.
Oh, yeah.
And like glued it to his leg and put like fake blood. That was what they did.
Damn.
And it looks so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was like, but it's still entertaining to me, man. Again, $40,000 budget.
I mean, it's got a ton of charm, man. Like, just Gary Kent's performance alone.
Yeah. He's a very accomplished stunt man. He's got like 100 and some different roles, I think.
Yeah.
That he played over the years. And I think he did this primarily as a favor to Don Jones. They were close friends, and
right.
I think he does do a fantastic job. I mean, they're given some outlandish shit to do and lines and stuff like that. Yeah. You can't help that, but I mean, I think that the performance, like especially for him, like everybody else is kind of like, I think the mother was good. You mentioned the mother.
Yeah, she's
she
solid.
was creepy.
I didn't mind the kids either. I don't know. It's a trip that I didn't know that about the girl though. Her name's Becky Burke.
That sounds like a fake name.
She was.
That's
15.
another fake name.
Yeah, she was 15. Man, she's extremely small.
Yeah,
15 years old. That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
But,
And then the boy.
Yeah, I got his name.
Corky. It's a weird name, like Corky Pigeon or something like that.
Corky Pigeon.
He was actually
Lord.
featured in a pretty good part in that. You remember that Ricky Schroeder show, Silver Spoons?
I do. Yeah, I remember that.
So he was one of Ricky's buddies for a couple of seasons.
Oh shit!
Was pretty popular on that show. Yeah, that was shortly after The Forest.
He looks familiar.
Essentially, like he went like, AWOL after that. I don't know what he's doing now. But this is, man, I always had fun with this movie. And I think from a lot of people, it gets a bad rap, which I don't understand. I think it's a lot of fun. There is something in it for everybody. If you're a fan of slasher movies, if you're a fan of just goofy horror movies, supernatural stuff, just, weird movies from back in the day. This is a good one to check out.
Yeah, and I dig the music too, man. The Dark Side of the Forest. I dig that song.
We got to talk about the Elvis impersonator doing Dark Side of the Forest.
There's nothing to fear. Is there? People do disappear, but where do they hide? In the dark side of the forest.
Right. Which I wanted to showcase this because I just recently got this.
Hell yeah.
And Mystic Vault is who come out with this. I never in a gazillion years would have thought that there would be a Forest soundtrack.
Damn.
Have you checked any of the artwork out for it on the inside? I did a video on it, but I don't know if you've seen it.
I think I did see it. How long ago did you do it?
A month or two, maybe. It's not been out that long, but just to show people in the video, I'll show it again. Because they have the ghost children featured.
Yeah, man, and you got to think too. This is a couple years after The Shining, so
right.
So it might have had a little something to do with that.
The music is really good though. It's like a synth sort of score on it.
It's very effective, man. It scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Like it did, like that opening scene when you see that damn knife go in the tree. I don't know why that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, like there's something about it, man. Like I'm very nostalgic for this movie too. So maybe the younger audience is checking it out today. Maybe too much for them. I don't know. But if this sounds like something that you would like from checking this review and retrospective out, I'm almost guaranteeing you'll probably like it. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, man, for sure.
But before we get out of here with this one, I did have probably the coolest Forest item that I have. And we talk about autographs all the time, like the through the mail stuff. Right. And I had got this literally, it was less than a year before she had passed away. So Gary Kent, who I'd gotten to sign a couple things, he had sent, I think I'd got him to sign like a 4x6 photo that I'd sent first. And I had asked him, I was like, well, I've got a VHS tape I'd love to get signed. And he was like, well, I'll get my wife to sign it too. And I didn't even know she was sick at the time or anything. And you could kind of tell, like, I don't know how well you can see the autograph.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it's signed, by the lead female, I guess, Lane Warner, Tommy Barrett.
Yep.
And the killer, which always...
That's one to keep forever. For sure.
Yeah, because, like, I think she had passed away in 2005 of cancer or something like that. And Gary Kent just recently passed away. I think he was like 90 some years old.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And then, I mean, I don't know. Most of the other people that were in this movie are either passed on or they're not talking about it.
I did find out that I'm confusing Dean Russell and John Battis. One of them guys was George Carlin's limo driver.
It's a small world.
After he got out of acting or whatever, just became a limo driver for Carlin. So,
huh? I had not heard that.
Shit.
No. This is a killer edition that you can still get. I don't know if the slip is available.
I don't think so. Maybe Kino does do some redos sometimes. So,
but this was a code red release on Blu-ray. The Blu-ray of this looks fantastic, by the way, too.
It does.
Whatever they did.
Because I remember seeing it was dark as hell when you watched it on VHS. Especially that scene where Tommy Barrett jumps, when he's chasing her through the woods or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I mean, that's that way with a lot of VHS tapes too. And this one too, there was a theatrical poster. There is some 35 millimeter prints that were floating around of it. So this received some kind of a theatrical release. I don't know how much.
Let me ask you the ultimate. Would you get this on 4K?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think
would too, though.
There's a chance that, Dark Force or one of those companies would do the 4K. I don't think Kino would do it.
Yeah.
But if Dark Force could get the rights, I'm sure they release anything in 4K. They released that shitty Scream, the one from the early 80s in 4K. That's like one.
That. I've heard how bad it is. Yeah.
Jeez. But any final thoughts though on the movie and everything?
Oh man,
sell the people on it in a sentence or two.
You got a sympathetic killer that is hungry as hell, and he's been done wrong. so you kind of feel bad for him too.
But he's hungry too. He needs to eat.
He's starving, and and then you got some crazy ass kids that ghost children that are kind of like fucking with the living, I guess, is kind of what I get from it. And then the abusive ghost mom too. So I don't know, it's some weird shit.
Something else though that I'd noticed on the back of this Blu-ray is it's copyright 1980.
Yeah, I think I heard him saying he shot it in 80 or 79 or 80.
So that's kind of interesting. That was right when the Friday the 13th movies were coming out, the first Friday the 13th movie. So
yeah, that is kind of crazy.
But yeah, I guess that's it. We'll wrap the video up. I appreciate you taking the time out and everything, talking about this movie. And what do you say we take another look at another Don Jones movie here in a few weeks? And
oh hell yeah, man!
Yeah, because I like revisiting some of these movies that I haven't seen in a while. I love Butcher and Schoolgirls in Chains. Yeah, I can definitely rewatch those. Give us the thumbs up.
Up your butt.
Like, subscribe. And if you subscribe, here's something else you can do. Once you subscribe, you can click the bell notification, right? And it'll notify you anytime that Dead Pit puts up new shit.
Or don't. I really don't give a fuck.
I want you to. Okay. Let's keep our community growing here on YouTube.
I don't like it. I don't want you to do nothing.
Listen, they need to do that, pal.
No, don't you dare touch it.
Thumbs up. Subscribe. And click that bell.
There's all kinds of wonderful shirts over at shop.deadpit.com. Simply the best horror shirts. On TeePublic, there are others, but they all suck. You can get some Dead Pit Radio shirts. You can get Last South on the left. The Hills Have Eyes. Texas Chainsaw. Oh, wait, you can't say Texas Chainsaw. All kinds of shirts, folks. You're gonna love them. Shop.deadpit.com.
Thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon. Dead Pit on Patreon.com is the only place to check out a complete archive of the old Dead Pit Radio shows all the way back from 2005 on, in addition to the midweek shows, fan commentaries, exclusive podcasts, and much more. Dead Pit on patreon.com if you're interested. Tiers start at only $1.